Hey everybody, Cole here from EGRESS FX. I wanted to do a demo video explaining the AVE3 bends and all of the extra features, as well as the control box here. Control box now is for sale with the AVE3 on eBay. I'm going to go over the basic bends and explain some of the data bending techniques and a few other things. This is a really cool unit, so just kind of want to jump into it here. When it comes to data bending video equipment, it's kind of all or nothing. There are points that can be triggered by switches or patch bays or potentiometers used as switches. Sometimes you can get a resistor or variable resistor such as a pot to change the glitches, but most of the time data bends are going to kind of be all or nothing. I'm going to bring up a schematic here, or an image rather. So this comes from the data bending wiki. This is from Baum, I think, one of the original guys who discovered this in circuit bending. He was really great at this stuff. Haven't heard from him in 12 years, but most of the time the technique is to cut the bends in. So you want to cut these traces. I've noticed that on most keyboards, video bent stuff, also, you don't need to cut these traces. You just need to contact the pins together, usually. So in this case, I have all the data and address pins on the AVE3 broken out to the patch bay on the panel. So there's 20 different points here that all react to each other when you patch them to each other. So you can get basic bends just by pushing a button here. I have them patched to this push button. So here you see I got a basic, just kind of choppy vertical bend. We can go through other bends here. So that one kind of chops it up the image as well. So we're just patching this point into all these other different ones straight through. So you get a lot of weird digital effects here. I'm not going to go over all of the original digital effects on this unit because they're the standard features, and if you know what the AVE3 or 5 are, you're going to know what these things are used for. So you can see pretty much this point is reacting to 20 other or 19 other points. Almost every one of them. Okay. In the middle, we have a group of 2 points here and 2 points here. This is the ground on the right side, and this is the auxiliary input, and this is the source audio input. And so you can get audio reactive bends from the source and auxiliary channels. Basically RCA audio into the back of the unit. Now you can break the audio to different points as well. We're going to go over that. I'll show you how that works. But I wanted to kind of go over a little bit more of the data bending side. So this is the inside of an SK1, and if most people know about circuit bending in SK1, these are all the data and address pins, and they're doubled over here. So basically you could use this as a patch bay and get a bunch of glitches out of the keyboard just from patching these to each other. You don't have to cut any of these traces to do these data bends. And that's kind of how it will work with other Yamaha keyboards or digital video stuff. Look up the chip, find the address and data pins, and start messing with those. They like ground, they like each other, and you can also use control voltage up to 5 volts. Don't go over 5 volts. And I'll demonstrate the LFO effect of these points as well. So this is the inside of an SK1. You see there's like the 28 point patch bay. That's pretty common. Those are just the data and address pins. No cutting of the traces needed to make the SK1 sound awesome. And so I think that in most cases, if you actually trace the pins out, you should be able to just connect them to each other rather than having to cut the traces of the PCB board, potentially ruining your unit or drastically hurting your ability to get this thing going. Alright, so I just have this old cartoon playing here off of a DVD player. And so this is the normal colors, and we'll start going through some of the bends here. So there's two different patchable switches on this control box, as well as a potentiometer that is going to act as a switch to connect the middle point to the two left and right points. So you have a lot of playability for performing this in a live rhythmic pattern with music, or using the AV. So let's go over some more of the just basic bends here. So these digital units do really cool vertical glitching where it chops up and moves around the image. It's really cool. It's a lot different than the analog Archer units. It's getting really hard to find these avenues, or the AVE3, the AVE5s. And so basically I will bend these units at a base price of $400 to $500 if you send me the unit. I can't find these for sale very often, and I only have one of these. This one will be for sale on eBay this week with the control box. Alright, so we have no bends going right now. That's just the original cartoon. We got this push button switch to kind of get the vertical glitch. Okay, now let's introduce control voltage, or an LFO. I have a new wave CV generator here. Parasite Studio designed that. I built it. It's really cool for testing bends, and I use it for all sorts of things on my workbench and for projects rather than for synth. So we're going to introduce a triangle wave to these different points now. This is point 1. You're not getting a rise and fall effect as you would with a normal LFO point, but you are getting control voltage here. Go to point 2. Now we're getting the rise and fall of the triangle wave. You can see that it goes up and down, and it's syncing the glitch with the LFO. It's hard to see it with the video here, but this LED right here is the triangle wave. That's point number 2. Point 4. So sometimes you mess with the depth and the bias, and now you can get cool different effects. These are all control voltage parameters now. So now we have glitching synced with an LFO or a synthesizer or any other control voltage of 0 to 5 volts. And not every point is control voltage, but a lot of them are. I'd say out of 20 points, at least 15 of them are. You have changed the depth deeper. So you're going to want a CV that has full control over bias, slide, depth, and rate. Turn the slide down, you get a more on-off effect. Slide up, you kind of get a intermediate fade. Alright, so that's basic control voltage coming from a CV generator, a filter, synthesizer, 555, just as long as you're 0 to 5 volts, you're not going to mess anything up. So with this control box, you can do some of the similar stuff mechanically. So we have push buttons for connecting different points, and I'm going to send this out with 4 connector patch cables so that you can have at least 2 switches going at once starting off, and you can also have the pot because that only needs 3. And then on the side of the control box are these 4 trigger points, and so these are going to trigger these patches up here. So this is how you would automate triggers with a LFO or a sequencer. So now we're going to connect our LFO back to trigger input 1. Now trigger input 1 is connecting these 2 points, trigger 2, 3, and 4 across the top, those 8 points. So we're going to patch, instead of the switch now, we're going to patch in that trigger point, and now with the LFO you'll see we're going to get on and off of that simple glitch that we had earlier with the push button. So this control box is going to make it a lot easier to start jamming with this thing live, having preset patches already done so that you have multiple glitches ready to go and you can switch in between them, or trigger with like I said, an LFO or a CV voltage on the input here, and now you have full syncability to multiple inputs. Really cool stuff, guys. See if we can find anything else here. So this is like the strobe effect going with the LFO. Speed the LFO up a little bit. Or slow it down. A simple glitch again there. Turn the slide down. These first couple points are really awesome with control voltage. Look at that. The digital effects mixed with the analog switching. It's a super cool thing. So basically the inside of this unit has super tiny SMT soldering points. Really fine, delicate soldering you have to do, but these things are bendable. They're not super difficult except for the very fine soldering. Other than that, it's however you want to do the controls. There isn't a lot of space in here, and most of these holes were already drilled into this before I got it. So I made a patch bay, and then now you can patch out all the data points to a control box or use control voltage from a sequencer or LFO, and you can start using the stuff live rhythmically with the music or whatever else you're doing live. Alright, I have a drum beat on my drum machine back here. We're going to go over some of the audio stuff. Let's see. So I have the audio coming into the auxiliary source. There's also the auxiliary input. There's also source input. So you have one video source, and then you have a superimpose. We'll go over the superimpose in a minute. The audio right now of the drum beat is coming into the auxiliary. Got the auxiliary up, and then now we can get AV synchro of the digital effects, and you can get the different effects on the unit to sync with the AV with the audio input. Turn up a little bit. But we're going to connect the source audio, which is on the right here, to different points. I had this on a really good one earlier. I can't remember which one it is now. Source, maybe that was it. Alright, so here's, I should have had this one set up a little bit better. Here you can see the green glitch shows up on the kick drum. So we'll just go through some different points here to see what we can get. So this is no digital effects from the unit right now, this is just the glitch points. Can't remember which one is source or auxiliary, but the source kind of mixes with the other one. Let's go to source. Let's switch the audio there. This thing's so much fun. I don't know what else more to describe on this thing. Oh yeah, I guess we had the superimpose. Let's turn on the superimpose. So display the superimpose here. Turn on superimpose effect. Oh, I unplugged that, didn't I? Sorry guys. There we go. And then you can reverse the superimpose, which is really cool. So now you can key it the opposite direction. So you can do some really cool stuff with this live. You could have the superimpose be anything. It could be a feedback from the output back into the superimpose channel, and you can do so much with the superimpose effect. You can change the color of it. You also have a gradient here, which is cool. And then you could use your video mixer to chroma key that out with some other stuff. So here I have the video equations on a separate channel keyed in now. Still kind of see the glitch in the background with the audio. Chroma key. I'm just kind of turning up and down the chroma key here. So now I'm doing it in beat. What else can I show you guys? So basically, any questions you have, feel free to hit me up on Reddit. It's probably the most active I'm on. Also Instagram. I'm doing live visuals now. I'm trying to focus on getting a cool projection setup going. So I'm really trying to sell this unit pretty bad, but I'm not going to get rid of it for less than my reserve price. Find it on eBay. Find me on Instagram, Reddit. Yeah, thanks for jamming, guys. Rock on. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Drop me a line.